Susie, can you hear me okay?
Yep, sounds good.
Are you under a tent out in Prior Lake?
I am. It's nice and toasty. Got to grab a little speck of shade when you can find it.
Yes. Stay cool. Well, good morning, everyone. It's 10:45 on Thursday, June 10th. Mark your calendars. It's our last lead meeting of the year. Thank goodness, right? A lot of acknowledgments today, a lot of thank yous. And I'm going to start by thanking Susie and Laura for tolerating me and putting together each edition of lead for you each week. So thank you for your work, and for our staff. This has been a collective effort. We have an agenda here for you today on a very warm day, which is going to acknowledge our weather and what you have to continue to monitor here as we finish up our postseason. So if we could look at the agenda, please. Laura, who I believe is with us from St. Cloud at tennis, and Susie's down at Prior Lake. So we are going to talk about our weather conditions and resources that are there, especially if you're in section and or state play, what you've accomplished this year, and good information for you to have. And when people ask, what did you really do during a pandemic? What we've learned from tournaments, what we'll be doing next year, registration, continued requests around registration numbers. Eric will walk us through that. Update on co-ops, when you can expect confirmation on your co-ops. Some quick takes, a thank you, and then we're going to acknowledge our co-worker Jody Redman as we lead here in June. So that being said, with the weather where we're at, a lot of questions around What do we need to know and what do we need to do if we are hosting events? Don't forget about practices as well for coaches who are still in practice mode and what they should be doing. Always err on the side of health and safety. Know where your resources are and know what those expectations are. If you go to our website, the weather conditions for competition and practice resources are there on the public side. You'd have to go under sports and admin. Then you select a sport. It's at the bottom under activity resources. For the ADs and coaches, it's on your dashboard on the right-hand side, down at the W's there again, alphabetically. Everybody should know what those expectations are. And when we're teetering on the edge of possibly competing or non-competing or practicing or not practicing, making sure that we're taking breaks, staying hydrated to the best of our ability, and again, err on the side of health and safety. Eric, anything you wanted to highlight or stress here? Or Jody, was that Jody?
It was, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. I just want ADs to know that if in fact there is concern about canceling section track and field events, that again, getting in touch with us before making those decisions, if you're running those venues, would be really appreciated to make sure that our voice is included in that decision-making process. We're here to help you and serve you in the best way that we can. So again, please use us as a resource.
Good, thank you, Jody. Anything else there, Eric, to note that you have heard or want to stress?
Yeah, I think there's a big difference in some of the calculations out there. So make sure you understand that wet bulb globe temperature and what that means. And again, anticipate some of the sites out there do a really nice job of projecting not only temperatures, but also humidities and wind speeds, and those all figure into a level of safety. But be thinking now about how you build in additional breaks, and it is very okay to have more breaks than even what's required. Be creative. Tennis is a great example. We've moved the competition times to try to stay out of the worst of the heat. And we also took breaks between sets and took kids inside and cooled them down, even within the competition. So as you said, err on the side of health and safety and make sure that the experience is as safe as it can be for our participants.
Great, thank you very much, Eric and Jody, for that information. I'm going to turn it over to Lisa here. We're in state tournaments in many of our sports. Yet we will conclude with state tournaments really next week. So some are still seeking information. Lisa, I'm going to turn it over to you to talk more about state tournaments at this time.
Thanks, Bob, and good morning. Good morning, everyone. As more teams begin to qualify for state tournaments, we want to remind you that the tournament materials that you typically receive following a section tournament will be emailed to coaches and to activity directors and posted on your dashboards. Things like the team pass list, the pronunciation form, and the participant guide. All of these items will be posted on your dashboard and emailed directly to you and your head coach should your school qualify for a state tournament. We also want to take this opportunity to let you know that tickets to the spring state tournaments will be sold online. You now can go to the league website, click the ticket tab at the top of the page, and purchase tickets to softball, baseball, track and field, and lacrosse. And we would appreciate if you would share this information with your coaches, student athletes, and fans, that all tickets will be sold online and there will be no cash sales on sites. So again, tickets are available online and you can go now to purchase to the website to purchase those items. Bob, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa and I and Rich will be doing CD meetings on Saturday. When you're with us again, we're going to remind you, no cash sales for tickets. No surprises when you get to a state tournament that you need those online tickets. Help those grandmas and grandpas that are going to be coming to our tournaments, get those tickets ahead of time if you possibly can. While we're talking about state tournaments, let's not forget what we've done and how different our tournaments really have been. If we could go on to the next slide. As we plan for our future state tournaments, remember what we've done that was different this year. Our venues have been different. You're seeing Susie and Laura at two different, very, very different venues for tennis this year. That's something that you'll probably see us go back to something again, more traditional. And again, if we could get that slide to their next slide, please, that would be helpful. Consolation is something that we did not have in the winter. We did not have third place in the winter either, but in the spring here, we have had third place. Still no consolation. I think that's something we have to continue to look at. We know it's valued, especially by those that are traveling long distances, to have more than one game. Is it the fiscally responsible thing to do moving forward? So just know we continue to look at what we've done, what works well, and what we keep, and maybe what we go back to as well. And that includes our formats, right? Our formats have looked different, and that's something that we have to look at what we've done traditionally and make sure, again, that we're being financially responsible with our participants and our member schools. What we have heard, though, is things like electronic ticketing that Lisa did a really nice job discussing for this spring is probably our future, along with electronic certificates and electronic programs. Our communications team has done a wonderful job with those electronic programs, and that's something, again, that we continue to see probably moving forward, as opposed to, again, those hard copy programs that were quite costly, not only for purchase, but also for those that we were giving to our student athletes. So again, these are things that we'll continue to discuss, but also improvements and potential standards that have set moving forward. Look at what you've done this year heading into our next slide. There's a reason why you're tired. There's a reason why you need a break. And this season needs to come to an end next week. Again, you've endured a pandemic. And here's what you've continued to accomplish throughout this past year. 60 meetings, just lead alone, 60 plus, probably closer to 70. Again, the amount of documents and guidance, over 86 documents that you've sometimes received at 4:30 on a Friday when you have games the following day or even that night. And the number of updates, again, you've had to keep track of. Yet we've offered postseason, right? 518 section events, 36 state tournaments. And again, during a pandemic, right? Congratulations. We couldn't do this without you. And there's a reason, again, why you need a break. We keep going here with the number of coaches that have registered for our dashboards, utilizing a new website. And then over 7,500 coaches have already completed their summer coaching waiver form. So it's a good slide for you to use when someone asks, what did you do this year, right? Especially enduring COVID, and also keep track of it for future years to look back at all that you've accomplished. And we appreciate the work that you continue to do. At this time, I believe I'm going to turn it over to Eric to talk a little bit more about moving into next year and registrations. Eric?
Thanks, Bob. And as you know, while the season is coming to a close for many of you, got some things going on, we do want to make sure that we're getting set for next year. And so Laura's done a great job, along with others, to prepare information for you to submit the registrations, the supply orders, and the resolution for membership. And so that activity registration is important. We're looking for that by the end of June here. June 28th is the last Friday in June. If we can have those, that allows us to better set things up and to be able to be prepared as we think about going into the start of next year. It also gives us the information to create the invoices that will go out to schools. As you know, last week, the board made decisions around membership dues and what those all include. We do have almost 170 schools that are already done with that. Appreciate their work, and certainly hope that the rest of you can get those on a list and get those completed here in the next week or two as we go forward. A reminder that supply orders look a little bit different this year. You are ordering supplies by season. And so by July 15th, we need to see what those supply orders are for your schools for your fall activities only. And there might be some year-long things that you're looking for within that as well. But again, that can be done online, and make sure that you get those submitted so that when the mailing comes out, you get the items that you're looking for. Your board or your leadership group, whoever it is that's responsible for completing the resolution for membership, has also been sent on to superintendents and presidents, et cetera, to get those things completed. That is the statement that says we plan to be part of the Minnesota State High School League for the coming year. And that also is an important aspect as we go forward, and keeps you in good standing to be able to continue forward as a member school. So take a look at those deadlines, and as much as you have involvement in those, please make sure and take care of those on a timely basis. Step ahead to the next topic, if we could. And as we think about this, Another submission piece that we're asking for, and not quite as many as in the other registration aspect, we are really looking for participation numbers to be provided from you relative to your activities. And again, next year we anticipate doing this seasonally, so it doesn't become so large and it can be done in real time. But what we need that for is, again, a number of things there as we try to make sure and monitor trends in the health of our organization and where we are with participation. That is really important. The NFHS expects all states to provide membership participation onto the NFHS. And then finally, as I've shared before, it does generate a significant part of the insurance premiums that we have to pay. So again, accurate numbers there are really critical, and appreciate the time that you and or your assistant puts into getting those completed. Finally, as we move on to the next slide, we'll talk about co-ops just a little bit. Folks are supplying information to the league office here, and as they come in, remember that we need those forms that include signatures from the schools that are involved, whether you are creating one or whether you're dissolving one. We still need those forms to be submitted. If you are adding a school, that requires a dissolution and then a new application for the creation of the co-op. And so make sure that you understand there's a couple of steps there. As they're submitted, we're cataloging those, we're reviewing them as they go, but the board does not meet again until August 2nd. If you have questions, et cetera, certainly you can call about what needs to be done. But again, you're also looking for that conference and that section approval if you're creating a new co-op going forward. A reminder that when you develop a co-op, those need to be in place for 2 years, and individuals are held to that. We have had some conversations with some schools who are talking about dissolving a co-op. If it is a situation where not all schools in the co-op agree that dissolving it is the right answer, then that requires notice by the school that is stepping away of 1 year, and that notice needs to be provided in writing. And we always strongly suggest it come from school leadership to their school leadership, indicating the desire to dissolve the co-op a year from now. And so folks have done that pretty darn well, but again, make sure you understand those processes, and we are glad to assist here. And again, then finally, the thing that folks want to know most is where are co-ops going to participate and or compete when it comes to section tournaments. That will take place once the season is in place and we have the best idea of who is all competing, so that we can make a decision about those placements based on geography, obviously, and also balance to the extent that that might make sense. But that will not take place immediately upon the approval. And so I think that's an important aspect. Appreciate all of the work that you're doing to create these, and look for ways for kids to participate, whether it be that you host the activity yourself or you pair with others to try and make that possible. Bob, anything you would add on the co-ops? You've taken a couple of questions on those.
Yeah, I would say just be patient if you haven't heard back. Make sure that your paperwork is in place, that you've talked to your sections and or your conferences, and then be patient again as we head into next year before those are approved. Thank you, Eric, and let's start with quick takes, and you're going to talk a little bit about vaccinations for students. Thanks.
Again, conversations continue. We haven't stopped talking with MDE and MDH and so on, and recognize their desire and our desire to have our student participants and all students be as safe as possible, and vaccinations can assist with that. While the general population is in Minnesota of adults is approaching 70%, right now the student numbers for 16 to 18 is right around a 60% level. And with the recent opening of the younger ages down to 12, that number is down around 30%. And so ways in which you can encourage and support students in getting vaccinated are really, really helpful. Your message to them in a positive way about the safety of them and the individuals that they compete and participate with is always of assistance here in sharing that forward. So thank you for all your work as we've navigated through these many, many health expectations, requirements, and recommendations. And this one clearly falls on that recommendation standpoint, and hope that you can assist in sharing that message even through the summer programs that exist within your schools. Bob, I'll turn it back to you for eligibility.
A couple hot topics around eligibility. Number one, thank you to our eligibility committee that is made up of our board. They are done for the current calendar year. We'll be welcoming new board members onto the committee or a member onto the committee here in August. No more reviews yet for this year. If there are reviews that are sought, again, that will start that back up in August. We are getting questions about students that maybe have left school A, went to school B for, let's say, in-person learning due to COVID, whatever circumstances may be. Now they want to come back. Remember, the board has not taken any action to change any eligibility rules in that fashion. So eligibility around bylaw 111 is as it is, and there have been no exceptions due to COVID, family choice, things like that. Again, so continue to ask questions if you have them, and we'll guide you to assist you in guiding your families. Really, the last three are dates to keep in mind. Again, remember, no contact means no contact for coaches with our student athletes. They need a break. You need a break. That period of time is July 3rd through the 9th. We get back going again with the start of our fall sports on Monday, August 16th. We'll be back with lead again August 10th. This is a reminder that we will be meeting less frequently next year, but lead is something that we'll continue to try and offer to assist you in the areas of leadership, education, administration, and development. So that will continue again next year, less frequently. Use that half an hour of time, do something for yourself. Again, this is it until August 10th. On to our next slide. We have a whole lot of thank yous, and we need to be thanking more people. If we could go on to that next slide, please. When you think back to the slide on state tournaments and how different they have looked, we have relied very heavily on you. Not only you, but your staff, your building. And if we could get to the next slide, slide 11, please. Again, we could not have accomplished what we did this year without you and all those around you, right? And don't forget about those maintenance staffs that continue to help us at our school venues. Our officials, we need more of you, and thank you. Again, all of our board and the tough decisions they had to make this year, along with our board committees. Our return to participation seems like a long time ago that committee no longer met, but thank you for all of those that served. Our lead liaisons, again, you get an extra half an hour back. Use that for yourself, and we're looking at expanding our liaisons. Again, that's something we'll continue, but with less frequency. Again, we're right in the midst of section tournaments and state tournaments. Our region secretaries, we value you so much. And just if we've left you out, we apologize, but there are a number of you. We need more of you. Get engaged as a member school, help out at tournaments. We'd love to use your sites moving forward as well. There's two big thank yous moving forward. Eric talked about co-ops. Lynn Johnson is one that has worked with co-ops in our office. Lynn is done here as a teammate at the end of this month. We want to acknowledge her work. Lynn is not somebody maybe you've seen on a regular basis in our office, but odds are you've talked to her if you've spoken about co-ops. So thank you, Lynn Johnson. And then Jody Redmond, who is here with us today in a press box, I believe, somewhere at a high school. So Jody, we're going to miss you. Jody, you are a servant leader, an ambassador for 18 years, right? For everything that you've done. And we appreciate the way that you have led. I appreciated being a coworker for 4 years. I wish it was longer for those that had the opportunity. We all wish it was longer, but you've been a mentor, Jody, for all of us. One of our most recognizable faces. And Jody, you've always said it's based on relationships, right? You've developed relationships across the state of Minnesota. You are a valued resource. We know that will continue. But Jody, we're going to lose a friend as a coworker here. And thank you for your friendship. Everything that you've accomplished, if we could go back to that slide, there are national initiatives that will forever live on, I believe. Things like anyone can save a life. That is something that we're continuing to work with on a nationwide basis, and the National Federation is working to keep that going as well. The Inside Out Initiative is lucky to have you, Jody. Thank you for the time that you've had here at the Minnesota State High School Week, serving all of our member schools, growing our ADs, and making sure that our student athletes are participating in a healthy opportunity, right? That is something that we know that you value. Jody, I'm not going to ask you to say anything, but you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, we're going to say goodbye here today with you, and for all the work, then acknowledging that work that you've done.
Thanks, Bob. It's been an amazing opportunity. And I just, again, want to thank everybody for your commitment, and I'm going to be around. So it'll be great to continue to have the opportunity to serve you just in a different capacity. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Bob and Eric, for this opportunity and for the the recognition. I appreciate it.
Jody, you need to survive tennis and track. You're not done
I
yet.
do.
Right?
Yeah, and please don't cancel anything today without calling me, please.
Let's get through next week before we celebrate. Otherwise, that's it for us here today. We didn't quite use our whole half an hour, and that's a good thing. Keep up the good work. We'll see you at a state tournament. If you're at baseball, say hello. Otherwise, have a great afternoon. Stay cool, stay healthy and safe as well. Thank you.